Que pasa, muchachos? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gershwan.
And once again, we're back at it to answer more questions in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get those questions first. And that is what Pelon Ramirez 3403 did. He asks, why didn't Games Workshop make someone from the Iron Warriors a Lord of Undivided? In other words, Perturabo. Why doesn't he have his own
faction?
Fiefdom faction? Yeah.
It makes the most sense because obviously you have the four Chaos Gods already represented with Angron, Fulgrim, Mortarion, and Magnus. So we're just missing the Undivided. But I think Undivided encompasses more than just one, theme. Because you could just have Undivided, that's just kind of like normal. And then you have the other Undivided that's more akin to like demon engines.
Yeah, and I think the demon engine concept came after. So the reason that when we think of Undivided, the main guy, the main Chaos Warrior Lord is obviously Abaddon, yeah. So Abaddon is supposed to take that role, and it wasn't until later when we started to get demon engines, we started to get tanks in 40K, that whole concept of demon engines came out. But by then, Perturabo was already kind of, knocking about in the lore.
Yeah, and then further on, we got the Adeptus Mechanicus, and that's where more people started thinking, okay, so if they have the Adeptus Mechanicus, why not the Dark Mechanicus?
Yep.
And then more people were saying, oh, they're all about machines, so why not Perturabo, since he's all about, like, iron and all that. And then we didn't get that. Instead, we got Vashdor.
Yeah. So really the reason why Games Workshop is just doing that kind of stuff is not so much because they're dumb. It's just timing.
Yeah. Because imagine how it would be like if you have the leader of the Undivided, Abaddon, the spoiler, being not played because you have a freaking demon Primarch in Perturabo leading the Undivided factions.
True. They didn't want the Iron Warriors to kind of bleed into the Black Legion.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And then ultimately, we don't have any Iron Warrior models.
No. Just like the Emperor's Children, like GW just kind of like pretends they don't exist.
Yeah. Which is dumb because it seems like it's a very popular aesthetic of just like the mechanic Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
You could see them just walking around with like oil dripping from their pantaloons or something. I don't know.
Their pantaloons.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully in the future we get some type of demon engine Perturabo.
Yeah. And just imagine like all the possibilities. Like you can turn any type of like machine into a demon. That's just gonna look even more badass. And if you look at the range for Chaos, they have a ton of demon engines.
Yeah.
Mauler Fiends, Forge Fiends, Hell Brutes, Defilers, Hell Drakes. Like there is a ton of demon engines.
Another thing that I just thought about because you said that is maybe Games Workshop didn't want to make Perturabo the leader of the demon engines just because there's so many demon engines of other factions or other chaos factions. So it would look weird if Perturabo and the Iron Warriors were going into war with, what's a demon engine from like Khorne?
Like the Khitan.
Yeah, that
Lord
kind
of
of
Skulls.
Stuff. Yeah, that wouldn't really make sense unless you painted a certain color.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have so much iconography of Khorne, and if you're supposed to be undivided, why? You know,
it's like just play World Eaters at that point.
Yeah.
And then in the lore too, you have the Forge of Souls. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
In the lore about that is that it can use any and all like Nurgle, Zeech, Slanesh, Khorne demon engines to defend it if it gets attacked.
So much so that if any other Chaos God attacks the Forge, those same demon engines have to betray their patron god.
Which is like unheard of. Like, what? This guy is dedicated to Khorne, but if Khorne decides to send a warband to attack the Forge, those Khorne demon engines have to defend it.
Yeah. And maybe Games Workshop thought to themselves, we don't want to make Perturabo the leader of that because
that's pretty OP.
Yeah, wouldn't he just turn around and like defect and then try to conquer the Forge but be part of the Forge? Like, it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Could they do it? Maybe, but they haven't. So
yeah. Instead, we got Vashdor, which sucks.
His model I thought was going to be bigger. It's tiny. It doesn't look bad, but it's tiny and fragile.
It is, and even on the battlefield, he's not strong. He doesn't give enough buffs to demon engines. I feel like the Lord Discordant is a better leader if you're trying to play Demon Engines than Vashtor, which, come on, he's a demon, or not a demon, he's a demigod.
Yeah.
The first one we've gotten, and he's not even good.
Yeah, Games Workshop do better. But they did good when, like, because he came out during 9th edition, right?
Mm-hmm. The end of 9th.
Next question comes from the big one. My uncle Jamal says that aliens are real, and he knows because he's gotten jiggy with loads of them. I think he's talking rubbish, but how can I prove that? Well, does your uncle live by the border? Because maybe it's not the aliens that you think.
Mm-hmm.
Also, gross.
Yuck.
But I've watched that porn. Next question.
We got one from Blake Marquez. One of my favorite parts of the hobby is the ability to create your own lore. Where's the best place to share homebrew chapters and factions? P.S. I love your homebrew videos and I found them very helpful. Thank you for the inspiration.
Oh, that's awesome. So definitely the wiki. They have a wiki fandom for homebrew stuff, and they give you a template.
Yeah.
And you can follow that template. And then it really depends on you. Did you want to focus on the story itself? Because the wiki is a perfect place for that, because it's just like you writing the story. You want to focus on the models and making them look pretty. Instagram. There's a ton of homebrew chapters that have gotten their own like notoriety. Do you want to be goofy and funny and get your homebrew chapter to be, I don't know, a wacky one like the Angry Marines, the Pretty Marines, what are the normal Marines?
Rainbow Warrior? No.
Well, the Rainbow Warriors is another one, but the ones that are like regular soldiers.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I just can't think of the name.
Like, yeah, so if you want to do that, 4chan, go for 4chan.
If it still exists.
It does. I think it does. It's just like watered down now.
Yeah.
And then, I guess Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook, there are some groups around there. If you have any questions, I feel like your best place would be going on like subreddits.
Yeah, subreddits. Yeah. And also, if you're over 40, Facebook is for you. So.
Yeah. Or WhatsApp.
There you go. Telegram.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's different ways of you homebrewing, and there's different places.
Yeah. If you want to go real old school, we actually have a whole playlist dedicated on homebrew that you guys sent to us from like 8 years ago.
Yep, it's on the One Mind Syndicate page.
Mm-hmm. So if you want to go back to, check out that blast from the past, do it.
Also, the Sound Alchemist did his own homebrew Legion. That's a playlist on the playlist on the One Mind Syndicate page.
What he said.
Yes. Good question though.
Yeah. So check out What Ifs, because that's another avenue to explore where it's kind of like fan lore, but it's taking more of like lore and just putting a little twist to it.
Yeah, like a sandboxy universe for you to play with. And
that's actually what Twist Jane asks. Would you guys like to see a multiverse of Warhammer 40K, kind of like DC and Marvel?
No.
I feel like the multiverse, especially in recent times, has been like played out.
For sure.
Like every IP is doing a multiverse because it's like, oh, you have the hero. What if he's evil? And it's like, oh, you have the Emperor, but what if he was chaos? And then what if the loyalists became traitors and vice versa?
So I think homebrew-wise, that's really fun, right? To say like Rogaldorn, but he's evil.
Mm-hmm. Dude, the arts for that are pretty cool.
Yeah, but I don't think. But at the same time, they get kind of wild because it's like, ooh, the Primarchs, but they're all Disney princesses.
Yeah.
Like they look badass, but no, come on. So no, I would not want a multiverse, but I would want, and the reason for that is because the warp is supposed to be our other world. We don't need a multiverse of like evil Lorgar, or not evil Lorgar. We don't need an evil Rogaldorn because we have Perturabo. He's the evil, that guy.
Yeah, we have a lot of like the opposites already with the Primarchs.
Yeah.
You want good Iron Hands or evil Iron Hands? That's Iron Warriors.
You want female Space Marines? Sisters of Battle. Like it's that easy. So it's cool to see online, but I don't think we need it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that like maybe GW can explore once they've like run out of ideas, but there's no ideas to run out of.
No, give us all the Primarchs first and then come back to the multiverse.
Give it more time than that. Give us all the Primarchs and then let's see what type of stories and like ramifications on the lore comes from that.
Yeah, when the Emperor becomes a god and there's a giant hole where Terra used to be, or a warp hole.
It's just interesting to think about that. Like, what happens when they all return? What happens when the Emperor ascends? Like, is it still Warhammer 40K? Because, like, I feel like you kind of lose some of the grim darkness.
If they all return, for sure. I think that the Cicatrice Maledictum did a really good job of making Games Workshop, or making the 40K setting very grim dark still. But it would be kind of weird to be like, what happens now? A second Civil War?
Yeah, Horus Heresy version 2.
Yeah, which, is weird.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you guys think will happen in the future.
Yeah. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. We didn't get to all of them. So if you have a question, ask for the next episode. And thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah, keep those questions coming, and so will we. So as always, like, comment, subscribe. And this has been The Sound Alchemist.
Gersh1.
And we are out of here.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.